Are you Scrooge McDuck? Is there money flying all over the place? Like, are you just rolling in cash these days? You win poker tournaments. Week 10, you hit it out of the parks.
9-0.
9-0.
I just want to officially, I want to announce my retirement right now. Thank you for tuning in to Gamble Up Pod. Does that cover the juice, Adam? I'm not sure. Like that.
Juice is more than covered.
All right, we got some oranges to squeeze now.
All right, everybody, Gamble Up episode 12 is off and running. I'm your host, Dave Schwartz, alongside producer extraordinaire, Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Hey, I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Mr. David Baker in Las Vegas. How are you, David?
What's up? Feeling like $1 million. Been a pretty eventful week for me out here.
Yeah, at least $20,000. It sounds like you banked a little 500 bird yesterday. Give us the rundown. The NAPT was in town.
Yeah, I guess we'll start with that, and not my 9-0 NFL posted Twitter picks.
We'll get to that. No, we'll get to that.
That's what the people care about, NFL. But let's we'll give them a little poker.
Okay.
NAPT, North American Poker Tour, Poker Stars, ran a great event here at Resorts World. I think this was their third year. They do if they could publicize this better, this would just be amazing. Like, they just do such a great job. I'm so impressed with everything they do there. I hope that Poker Stars, makes its brand and tournament scene back here in the US. But, crazy enough, like, they have a really good schedule. They have a lot of stuff going on. And I went in to play the 5K 8 game, and I was playing, and, I just wasn't really having fun. I was taking beats, and man, when you play limit poker and you take beats, they just burn inside. Like, you just put in all this money, and then for one bet, you call the river, you can't win or whatever.
And they come fast and furious in limit. It's not like no limit where you take one every half hour.
It's crazy that, like, I used to just, this was it. This was all I did. This was all I loved but nowadays it's just like, and then you just got to sit there and you just got to watch them stack your pot. And, like, when you lose in no limit, you take a bad beat, just get the fuck out of there. Like, I mean, you're done. I don't have to look at them. I don't have to hear the comments about, like, the hand and all this stuff. I can just fucking go. So
I had to call in 6 straight. I mean, you were,
you were in a steal position, like, whatever. It's like, whatever, I mean, whatever. Everybody does it in the mixed tournaments. But anyway, I just wasn't having much fun, and I busted, and I could have re-entered. And, I said, you know what? I'm just gonna have some fun today. I'm gonna enter this $500 seniors event. And I just had so much fun, man. I mean, the players are just fun. They love poker. They just want to talk. You can just talk about, like, a wide array of stuff. They're not talking about ranges and opening steal spots and just whatever. It was just nonsense. So,
were you splashing? Because it's a 500, you're going to splash?
Yeah. I mean, I'm splashing, and, it's just funny. Like, it's just so many times they just don't fight back. And, and when they do fight back, like, it was so crazy because I was at top of range for, like, multiple spots where they fought back. And I was like, well, top of the range isn't good here. Yeah, like, I need to be above top of range. And, I folded, and every time they just showed me, like, nuts, and It was crazy. And, so, yeah, I mean, I was really happy. I played, and then, I did well that day, and then went back and just kind of did my thing, just picked at them, and then, got them a little frustrated, and then they would fight back, and I'd have it, and I'd win. And, just genuinely, though, just, like, had so much fun, like, rooting for the other people at the table. Like, there were multiple times where I had, some people all in, and they only had, like, a couple blinds left, and I was rooting for them to win, even with, like, 12 people left or whatever. Like, it's just fun. Like, they're just having so much fun. We're having fun. Like, we're having great conversations. And so I won, and, it was cool. Like, I've only played a couple seniors events in my life, and, to win the second one, and just kind of funny now. It's kind of like just a thing. Like, when I won the 5K seniors at World Series, I played the 10K limit hold'em first, even though that one had started, the seniors had started before it. And because that's what I do. And then, same thing. I got frustrated and I lost all my chips. I kept losing pots. And then I went and I frustratingly entered. So maybe that's my thing. Just play some big mix event and bust on day of seniors and then go take it. But it's fun to win trophies, man. I mean, it's crazy because I've been in this business like 20 years and, I look around and I'm like, I don't know. I got like 15 trophies. Like, I mean, I've played thousands of tournaments. Like you think like, it's hard to win. It doesn't really matter what. It was like 177 people, I think, but it's hard to win. It's hard to win a poker tournament. Yeah. And, so yeah, and the trophy's cool. It's got a, spade and poker stars thing. And
what's the best trophy in poker? Is it the win, like the win events where they have the win building? Is it the horse?
It's funny. I have one of those. I won that in a $400 no limit a couple years ago. And again, like I played it, like I just wanted to win the trophy. This one, I wanted to win the trophy. Like even if I would have been in a situation where I could have chopped or something, I would have just said no. Like I just want to win the trophies. Yeah. I mean, the win one's great. I mean, to me, it's bracelet. I mean, the bracelet is the best. I got 4 of those Remingtons, the horse trophies from Commerce days. Those bring back good memories. The spade one's cool. Like run good. I have a big cup, like a gauntlet, like the British Open. So it's kind of cool, but it's kind of fun. And yeah, it's kind of just like good practice too. You don't get in these shorthanded situations very often. You don't get heads up very often. You play a different opponent every time. So it's like kind of just playing this guy versus playing the last guy versus playing the guy before that. And, yeah, hopefully the experiences that I gain. It's funny because, I won't call him out, but, one of my really close friends was like, you should play this. You should get back in this 5K. I'm like, no, I'm going to play this. I want to. It's like, there's, it's a small tournament. Like your EV is so small, like, it's just pennies. And I was like, I don't care. Like I might learn something there that I might use in the future that might bring me in a high EV spot. And I did. Like, you don't get to the final 27, the final 12, the final 6, the final 2 very often. And you got to use every experience you have. Like I don't know when the next time I'll get in this situation again is. Hopefully it'll be in December at the Win, but it might not be. It might be at the World Series next year. It might be 3 years from now. But maybe I played with somebody that I played with. Maybe I played with an archetype of person that I played with. Yeah. Maybe I'm in a situation again. Like at the final table, I had 5 tight people and one extremely loose guy who was the only guy who had more chips than me, and trying to navigate around like he would want to play pots with me, when I'm just trying to like play pots with the tight people, and how to navigate that to, it's just like all these different spots you get into, like you can't really, calculate like how it goes. But anyway, I was fortunate and happy and just added to my, very good week that we'll talk about. So
nice.
That was just one thing.
He just won a poker bracelet.
Yeah, talking about trophies. So last year, and it's an excellent point. I have nothing here, and I played poker for 30 years, and I'm not a tournament guy. I'm a cash game guy. But last year, I was at a Poker Stars event at the Resorts World and got heads up with another Canadian kid, and we're both from out of town. And we're playing for the trophy. We got heads up, and we're talking about making a deal. And he's like, I really want to win the trophy. So you can have the trophy. I don't want to take this thing back on the airplane. So I think he bought it for like $100 or $200 or something. But your point is actually like, I don't have a thing here that proves
that's a difference. Some people care about it. Some people don't. And obviously like, I mean, I'm not like going to give up money for it or whatever, but the reality is like, it's cool. It's cool to look back and just see like, yeah, I was in that, I did well in that. And, yeah, some people say that's stupid or vain or whatever, but whatever. I mean, I like to compete. I mean, I grew up competing. I don't have many more, but like I had boxes of trophies, like from 12 and under soccer and baseball and basketball and tennis. And like, I had all the, like when you grow up, like in youth sports, you want to succeed, and the way you succeed and the way that you show that you've succeeded is trophies. Obviously in poker, the way you succeed is money, but it's cool to have the stuff. And I mean, I like it. I'm not going to like pay for it. I haven't paid for one trophy that I have. And crazy enough, like I haven't even really made any deals. I've made one deal. I think I made one deal. Which is kind of fortunate that I've run out that way because I think I only have like 2 second places in my life. I've been extremely fortunate heads up. So that's kind of cool. Maybe I wouldn't care about the trophies much if I was like 2-10 instead of like whatever I am 14-2 or whatever. So yeah, whatever.
Well, and that's the draw to tournaments for poker players, right? Because to your point, not so much the trophies, but there's a record of winning a tournament. There's an accomplishment. There's I beat everybody here. And cash games is, well, I got the money in the bank, but I can't really,
Yeah, that's fine. Like I do that too. I would have a lot more trophies if I just strictly focused on tournament poker, but I do everything and that's fine. And I think there's room for all of that in our game, sport, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's the thing that's so appealing about poker. You can play just for the money. You can play just for the glory. You can play for a combination. You can play on stream games. Like you can play for all of it. Like all of it is appealing to somebody. And for anybody to sit there and call out people who like to play for one reason rather than the other is just extremely shallow and short-sighted, and also just basically just shows your insecurity as a person, that you can't understand why people want to succeed in the venue that they have chosen. So yeah, that's kind of just the way that I think about it all. And I mean, we do have score sheets in poker. And just because your score sheet is very high doesn't mean you're necessarily the best or great or anything, because, entry fees aren't included and variance is super real in our game. But, it is just kind of cool, especially also, we're always jockeying for respect amongst our family members and our peers that don't necessarily do poker. And the trophies is something that they can understand.
It's tangible. Yeah.
Whether it's right or means anything, leave that up to you to decide. But in general, like, my mom cares about the trophies, and I love my mom, and I like to, represent her, and she likes to talk about it in, her community and whatnot. And so that's cool that she gets to show a winner's picture of me, and that's kind of fun. So,
speaking of poker tournaments, one of the hot topics this week of discussion in poker was starting tournaments early and starting them at 10 a.m., 11 a.m., that kind of thing. I mean, I don't know how early we could go with it, but instead of staying late at night, and especially for, casual players who work 9 to 5, do they want to be up till 2 in the morning? The World Series is a different animal. I get it, the size of the fields and everything. But, standard tournaments can start at 10 and be done by 7, 8 o'clock at night. And people can stay on their normal schedule and still go to work and still play poker tournaments. It seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. So this started with Seth Davies, who I really respect as a poker player, as a human, as a just an ambassador of our game, and he's put himself out there more lately. And I applaud him for doing that, because there's not a lot of people who like to put themselves out there these days. There's not a whole lot of upside, and there's a lot of downside. He talked about the fact that people really want to start earlier. People have gotten more health conscious, and they want to have normal schedules and things like that, and end earlier and all that. And yeah, I mean, that's all good in theory, but my major problem is that we are addressing some of the symptoms and not the problem. And the problem isn't the start time. The problem is the end time. And the end time, the reason that the end time is the issue is because these properties are greedy when it comes to late registration times. And the earlier you start it isn't, if you're still making registration so late and so long into the tournament that it's still they still have to play too many hours. We need to cut down the length of registration time. I think that's just ultimately the real issue. Also, when you're talking about the starting early, I mean, I think one of the big pluses for it is the fact that you can give the properties more time to have the night owls and things to do things on property, go to dinner,
go to dinners,
get a massage, do things like, go to the club afterwards, whatever that it necessarily is based on, your age demographic and your vices. You go to the blackjack table, whatever, the club, whatever it is. But I mean, we're trying to appeal to for some of these tournaments that Seth's referring to tournaments in general, where he's playing a set of tournaments that are basically people who do nothing but play poker, or they're ultra rich businessmen who create their own time frame. We're trying to get people in these 1Ks and 1500s and 3500s and 360s and whatever these tournaments are. And we want them to come after work. So if you're starting at 10 a.m., it does possess a little bit of problem when you're in. I think it's different when you're in areas where it's basically just nothing but people who are playing from a destination rather than people who live there. When you're in California and whatnot, like you can't really put these things where people can't do their job. Like they have to go to work, and then they come and they register later, whatnot. So that's kind of like a lot of the issues is his field demographics versus some of ours. Where I think
he's talking in general about those kind of tournaments, and you're saying that if it's Las Vegas might be a destination too, but LA or where have you around the country, around the world, you're saying that if it's not a destination, then it's probably not better off.
Yeah, I don't know. I just find it difficult to like San Jose starts at 9 a.m, which is kind of interesting, and it was kind of cool. Like I liked it. It was cool for me because I'm just there to play poker, so it was fine. Like I'm not a go out type person like after or anything, so it was fine. I kind of enjoyed it, and I kind of enjoyed not having dinner breaks, and you get to have dinner after and all that. But when you're doing it consistently, like when you do it for a main event or something, it's one thing. But when you're doing it for all the tournaments in a festival, you're really just going to lose too many people after work, I think. So I think that's kind of the issue. I guess I shouldn't have said destination. I think it's more of when you have a destination tournament, when you have a single event that is like what people are there for, or, they can take off work because it's the 3,500 main at the, Sherpa in Florida or whatever it is. But when you're asking them to do that for 3 weeks straight, maybe they want to go to work and they want to, book some sales calls and take off at 2 or 3 or something and come in and not have to, max late reg and stuff. So I think that becomes the issue when you're talking about an entire festival. So I guess that would be my issue is that I think it's going to be an issue with that part, but it's an interesting conversation nonetheless.
Yep. All right. You teased it earlier. We weren't able to find a spot to do a show last week, so we're going to get caught up over the last couple of weeks with contests, the games that you liked, David. So in week 9, you had 3 wagers that you loved. The Baltimore, and not only did you love the game, but you piled on the futures with the Ravens as well. So you had Ravens, Broncos, Rams, and they all won as your best play. So you were 3-0 in week 9 with your favorite plays. You were 2-4 with the leans. So that brought your record to 13-8 with your loves and 23-22 with your leans. And week 10 was, are you Scrooge McDuck? Is there money flying all over the place? Like, are you just rolling in cash these days? You win poker tournaments. Week 10, you hit it out of the park. So you went 4-0 with the games you loved, bringing your season record to 17-8. And your leans went 5.
What was that again, Adam? What was my season record on my better place?
17-8.
17-8. Wow, that sounds pretty good.
That's a winning percentage right there.
Does that cover the juice, Adam? I'm not sure. Like, I feel like most of the time you're like, oh, your record covered the juice.
I did. I kind of rubbed it in a little bit. Where
okay. So the juice is covered.
Juice is more than covered.
All right, we got some oranges to squeeze now.
And squeeze them you did. You went 5-0 in your leans to go to 28-22. You swept the board last week.
9-0.
9-0.
I just want to officially, I want to announce my retirement right now.
Doesn't get better.
I will never have a better week. So we're just going to go ahead and mail it in. No more picks. Congratulations to all those who cashed in. We are out. Thank you for tuning in to Gamble Up Pod.
What a run, man. That's just awesome. Obviously, you were, I think one game you it might have been the Falcons. I think you got by a half point, which was the closest one. But I think everyone else, you almost easy winners on most of the games.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's funny because I bet all these games and I put my money where my mouth is. I have a ticket for every single game that I put on Twitter, and I have some tickets for games I don't put on Twitter because the reality is, as crazy as it is, people actually listen to me and they actually bet what I say. So I do feel like somewhat of a responsibility to be somewhat neutered in my love and just what I play. I might be a little even more degen than I post. And
that might have been several Broncos plays that you're not telling us about.
Well, I did not actually play the Broncos this last week when they lost with the spread. Also, I will say, I do feel like I am getting shortchanged on my seasons because I have picked both of the last Thursday games, and I said both were loves, and those don't count on your little tab there. So
no, the Ravens. The Ravens are in there.
No, was that one? Okay, I don't think the Chargers was in from the week.
Maybe
before,
the Chargers. Maybe I missed the Chargers.
But that's okay. It is what it is, Adam. We got a little more juice. We got a few more oranges.
We do.
But anyway, it's crazy because I've won a lot of money the last 3-4 weeks on my plays. A lot for me. I mean, maybe not a lot for some people who are betting, and maybe too much for some other people who are betting. But I've done very well with my unit size the last 3-4 weeks. I've absolutely crushed it, and all I really care about is just being able to have been right on Twitter, and I love getting. I honestly my favorite thing is
I'm just about that action, boss.
Just getting the text from people that be like, "Man, you crushed it, thanks," and every once in a while, just getting a little kickback. Just not even because I care about the kickback, but just them just being like, "Hey, I appreciate you," and you doing it. So it's kind of nice. I like it, and so I was talking to my wife, and I was like. He's like, how you doing? I'm like, 9-0 on the picks that we sent to people. So, it's that part to me is more fun and more exciting than the actual winning or the record or whatever. It's just being, getting people making money for people who follow. 'Cause, I mean, I'm not a tout. I say it. I say it all the time. I have it pinned on my Twitter. I'm just a recreational person who thinks they know a little bit of ball and likes to put his opinions out there and put his money where his mouth is. And that's it. I don't have spreadsheets. I don't have sharps. I don't have anything. So it's crazy that anybody actually gives a shit what I say because
you have haters. You shut up the haters.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love it too. The great thing I like to do is, we've got running bits and what percent, you just kind of figure out what percentage is real and what percentage is not, because there's truth in every bit that I do. And there's also a little bit of exaggeration, and it's just up to you to kind of figure it out. Do I think Bo Nix is the greatest quarterback or is he the worst? I don't know. You got to figure out, am I 90-10 or 10-90, and it's kind of the whole thing. And, I have fun with it. And, I appreciate, the quote unquote fans out there who, value and listen to what I say and think and the way that I approach this game. So I went 9-0 last week. I'm not going to go 9-0 this week. I probably won't, I'll be happy if I go one game over 500,
So you cover the juice, one game over 500.
I got to cover the juice. I got plenty of oranges. So as long as I can cover the juice, keep us alive for another week. But it was a great week and it was fun. Awesome. And the crazy thing was I had some people that I know that just really went ham on it. And especially after I started winning during the week, they just were like, you're hot, what do you got in this game? And they just kept pressing. And nice. So we won a lot of money.
So you mentioned it, totes, there's people out there who can't, pick anything selling picks. And there's probably also some people out there who put a lot of work into it that are selling picks that maybe do well. I mean, I've never paid for a tout. I don't know that it's a terrible decision if you pick a good one or if you don't want to put the time in or whatever. What's your sort of general thoughts on touts?
It's hard because there's a lot of variance in picking, and I've had good years, I've had great years, and I've had terrible years. And I don't know if I'm necessarily better or worse on one versus the other. So it's like, I don't know. There's real information out there. I think for the most part, most of the touts are pretty garbage, but there are people out there that I do respect and that I do listen to their opinion, and they do think about the game in certain ways that I value, and I put a lot of that stuff into my thought process. Look, at the end of the day, it's not I mean, I have a problem with the Vegas Dave model and some of these other places that are just, some of these other people. I'm not going to call out some people, but we've referred to some of them on the show from time to time that are just, they're selling picks at outrageous prices for most people who are gambling at the limits that they're gambling. They could never pay for, even if they're a little bit above, they're never getting their money's worth. And, a lot of times they're putting both sides out there. They're not putting their money where their mouth is, all these things. Everything I put out there is, I've never sold a pick and I don't plan on doing it. But hey, who knows? Like, we never know what the future is going to lead, but it's not really an industry that I've ever really looked to get into. I don't really think my opinion is that, I don't think you should be paying for it. So
there you go.
I don't know. I'm not in the tout service. Even though my good friend Michael Nori, he calls me a tout just to kind of like rub it. So I named my fantasy football team in his league the Touts.
Oh,
so
nice.
I feel like it's a good name.
Yeah. All right. Let's get on to the millions, where your picks, your picks against the spread also translated into a really good week. You guys went 5-0, I believe, on most of your picks, and the new quarter started this week, so that's the big thing for the millions, where it's broken into 4 quarters of 4 weeks each, I believe.
So the way the Circa contest is designed is it's a year-long contest for a majority of the money, but then a portion of the money is distributed in 4 quarter and 4 or 5 week increments on quarters. This week is a 4-week quarter, so I think it's like I don't know, there's a couple 100,000 in prizes. Most of it top heavy. The top 2 or 3 places get most of it, but it pays, I think, 5 or 6 places for the quarter. So when you have like cards that are not doing well for the year, you kind of just wait for these quarters to reset. You still want to put the stuff in and whatever, but that's when like you really get excited again, because everybody starts at 0. And, we have 8 cards in the Circa Millions, and 6 of them went 5-0, and 2 of them went 4-1. So, so we're right in there for the quarter. There were a decent number of entries that went 4-0 this week. I think the consensus finally did well in Survivor. Not in Survivor, in Circa. So, it's probably going to take, we're probably going to need to go 19-1 or something like that to cash in. Unless, we decide to be contrarian, which we have been known to do from time to time, take some contrarian sides and hope that they win. But we don't know how we're going to approach it. We haven't fully discussed how that's going to work, but we're just glad.
Feels like a good way to go, right? Because if you've got 6 teams at 5-0, you can take 1, maybe 2 of those 5-0 teams and go against the grain to give yourself some coverage, right?
Yeah. I mean, most of the time what we try to do is we try to condense our picks, and we'll usually go 2 or 3 games that we really love and just spread it across the board. And then we'll kind of spray like 8 games or whatever across the rest of the picks, just so like, it's kind of like, I don't know if anybody's ever bet horse racing or dog racing, but you kind of key a horse. And then it's like, well, I want the 3 horse to win. And then I'll take these 5 horses to get second and these to come in second and third. So like you just need really one result to happen, and then you have a lot of permutations to cash. That's kind of how we do it. But yeah, as it goes further, if we get more of these more towards the end, we can kind of diversify. I don't see us ever taking both sides of a game, but there'll come a point where we'll decide it's like, okay, like the Giants Packers line is 7.5 in the contest, but it's 6.5 in real life. So we know there's going to be 2,000 people on the good line and 500 people on the bad line. So maybe we'll take the bad line on a couple of cards and see if we can, win that one. Because you want to think like with the lines that's like, well, you have to take the good line. It's like really the difference between a good line and a bad line is only a few percent. I mean, the reality is, look at these final scores versus the lines, and I would say like 70 or 80% of them, the line never really comes into play. So, giving up a point or 2 points in the line, a lot of times doesn't even factor. A lot of times you're getting 7.5 and the team wins outright, or, you're laying 4.5 and the team wins by 14. So it's like giving up those extra points don't really matter.
So let's look at the year-long ones. You've got now 4 teams after that great week at 29-21, which is only 7 losses out of third, right? So you're not, I mean, that's,
I think we're probably only like 4 or 5 games out of 10th or something. So I think we're actually like in the hunt. I mean, if we can put the quarter together and go like 18-2, I think we can jump right into it and be a couple games out of the top 10. I mean, really, you're just trying to get to the top 10 by by week 17, because then you have 2 weeks where you can decide to go full contrarian, and then you only need a few different results, because what ends up happening up top is if you're in the hunt, these guys up top are trying to protect themselves from people from behind. So they just jam the chalk in every week, because if you're winning, you're just going to take the best line, because most people behind you are going to take the best line, because they're scared money, because they don't want to give up their position in 4th place, because that's $50,000 or whatever. So they're just going to try to cement their 4th place spot. So if I'm in 10th and I don't care about getting, 10,000 or whatever for 10th, now I just take the flip side, and now I just need one result to happen, and boom, I catapult the guy in 4th. I get closer to the guy in 1st, and all those things. There's less things that have to happen. So we'll definitely explore those options when we get there, but let's focus on getting down there. But we're excited to be back in the hunt again.
And then over in Survivor, almost half the entries got booted this week with the Panthers and the Bills. I believe you had 3 entries and you lost 1 with the Bills, but you got the other 2 through. And we're now at a place where just the raw EV for each entry is about 18,000 on the $1,000 buy-in. And now it becomes a question of, what teams have you used? And it gets interesting from here, right?
Yeah. If you're not, let me just do a plug for the other show, my other show that I do, Survivor Sweat on Saturday nights at 6:45 Pacific time. I do a show. We've had on a lot of different poker players, David Williams, Brett Ritchie, Rachel Aria comes on. We have Mike Buckmiller and Russell Rosenblum. They're on, and Vissen hosts, Paulie Howard, Mitch Moss. They come on, and we all just talk Survivor right after the numbers are released. And if you watch that show this week and you're in a different pool that like maybe you have till Sunday morning to get it in, you would have heard us all just talk about what a bad play Carolina was this week in Survivor, and maybe it would have helped you get off of it. So we all faded Carolina in our group, which was great, because it was the first time that like our entire community that does that show kind of were all aligned on one thing. But anyway, we faded Carolina. We've got 2 entries left, 36,000 in equity at this point, like 37,000, I think, with the change. And, that's about what we're in for, to be honest. So, we've got a conglomeration of group, and so to this point, it kind of sucks to only have 2 entries left, but we basically have what we paid for. So we're still alive. We've got a couple decent paths. If we want to get into this week, I can kind of spill the beans this week.
Yeah, let's go. So this week, obviously, the biggest spread is New England. They're minus 13.5 at home to the Jets tonight, and both your entries have the Jets. I have New England available to them.
Both of our entries also have the Jets available.
Conversely, but so interesting, because both of those New England, when you look at the remaining schedule for New England, and so if you're not going to use them tonight, if you're going to sit and hope maybe the Jets somehow upset New England and stay off New England, the New England Patriots have Cincy, Giants, then the bye. The Bills, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins. So they've got that Jet spot later if you're going to hang on to them. Cincy next week, who knows? We've talked about the Giants before. Obviously, not going to play them against the Bills and Ravens. So, So before you tell us who you're going to go with or who you're leaning to, I know you're not going to tell us who, but let's talk about this game. The New England Patriots at home, 13.5-point favorites.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, if you're in a survivor, it comes down to one question. A couple questions. First, do you have the Patriots available? And if you do you want to use them this week? In the Circa Survivor, they're only available for 50% of the teams. So my projection is that probably 35 to 40% will use them. You really have. So when I'm trying to decide if I want to take chalk, when I say chalk, it's like the highest owned teams. If I want to take chalk or not take chalk, there are two things that I really look at. One, there's three things. One, do I realistically think that they have a path to lose the game? Two, do I have an alternative that I feel comfortable with? And three, are there spots down the road where I think that having this pick available because they're going to be used so much is more advantageous for me? I really need all three of those things to happen, or at least two of them for me to not play the chalk. Right. My first thing with the Patriots, do I see a realistic path for the Patriots to lose tonight? My answer is no. Obviously, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. In my mind, not
hold off. The Patriots are rolling. Like
not all 13-point favorites are created equal. I didn't think the Rams really had a path to lose when they were 13-point favorites at home versus the Saints, and I did think that the Panthers had a very realistic path to beat the Packers. As 13-point favorites. In my mind, they're not, even though Vegas or whatever you want to say at the sports books or whatever are assigning them as equal chance of losing. In my ball knower experience, I look at it as I think some spots are better than others. I don't really think the Jets have a realistic chance to win this football game. So my first question is I don't think they are. So for me to save them, I need I need the other two things to really come home. One, do I have a realistic spot that I like moving forward with the Patriots? Yes, I do. And I think that they're a huge advantage to have later on. But the other one is, do I feel comfortable someplace this week? And that comes down to, let's look at the other games this week. Packers at the Giants. Jameis Winston, high variance spot, fired coach. Packers have played terrible for 2 weeks in a row. Do I feel comfortable there? I'm not even sure if I have the Packers available on. I think I have them on one entry, but regardless, do I feel comfortable there? Not really. I think the Packers will be playing better at some other point in the future, that if I have them available, I'd probably like to keep them. The Ravens. Do I feel comfortable with the Ravens? Yes, very much so. But I also know that the Ravens are probably going to win a majority of their games, if not all their games, the rest of the season. So do I really want to burn the Ravens when I have a 13-point favorite Patriots available? Probably not. Now we're
are the Ravens a key holiday team to have?
So the Ravens play on Thanksgiving, and they're either going to be the best play or the second best play available, probably depending on whether Joe Burrow's back. It basically comes down to that. So I really want to keep them available if I have the Ravens on a card. I'll know more, and they also have a spot in a week or two against the Jets. I think it's next week. The Jets at home, obviously we know the Jets at home is going to be better than the Browns on the road anyway. So if I do want to burn Baltimore, why wouldn't I just burn them then? Yeah. But if I want to save them for the holiday week, I want to have that option too. So I think Baltimore is pretty much off the table for me.
How about the Texans, 6.5 at Tennessee?
Yeah. So the Texans are an interesting spot because, you only get to play the Titans twice, and they've already played them once. So there's not a whole lot of spots. But we also have a team that has played some crazy games lately. I'm not sure if they're good or not. And we're getting a quarterback in Davis Mills that, is he good? Yeah, he had a good quarter or two, but I think the sample size is pretty large that Davis Mills is not a good quarterback. We're also playing a Tennessee team that's coming off of a bye. It's on the road. These are two rivals. I think we also saw last week when, after the trade deadline, these also ran teams, they kind of step up for a week because, a lot of these bad teams traded key pieces. And once you trade the key pieces, then the players that are left are like, oh shit, like this is my job now, or I'm not going anywhere. So they can kind of summon it for a week or two. We saw that with the Jets last week. We saw that with the Dolphins last week. And it's very likely that we could see a spirited effort from the Titans this week at home. They've had a couple weeks with their new interim coach. So I think there's a chance that they put up a fight there. Also, the Texans have by far the best spot available on week 15 versus the Raiders. So I'm not really looking to dive into a team that's probably going to be 20% owned in the Texans on the road as less than a touchdown favorite with a backup quarterback when they have a better spot left. So that's kind of them in a nutshell to me. The other spot for me is kind of Pittsburgh. I don't really respect Pittsburgh as a team. Cincinnati's shown some fight. I do kind of think this is a really good spot for Pittsburgh, to be honest, though. Just they've really looked bad for a couple weeks and they get to come home. And I kind of feel like Tomlin plays his best and coaches his best when everybody thinks they suck. I feel like when people start to think they're good, that's when he struggles. So I don't really hate this spot for Pittsburgh, but
the other thing with Pittsburgh is you don't have a ton of spots for them left, right?
Yeah.
So I think you have one glaring game that you can use them in. So they're Bears next week, Bills, Baltimore, Miami, Lions, Browns. Maybe Miami is your spot there for them.
Yeah, I mean there are a couple of potential spots, but yeah, I'll be honest. I've run a lot of the hand sims. I don't have a machine to do simulations or anything, but I do my own simulations of how I could play this thing out. And most of them involve never playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I can get to the end without playing the Steelers. So I feel pretty comfortable with that. But I do feel okay. If I had to go on them, as I would much rather play the Steelers at like 8% or something than the Texans at 20%. Even though I do think the Steelers suck, and it would not surprise me at all if the Bengals win that football game.
What about a sneaky San Francisco at Arizona?
San Francisco's got some really good spots. They have Carolina and I think
Tennessee.
The Jets. Tennessee. Yeah, one of the also rants. So I'm not really looking to burn them there. But let's talk about this game now because, we'll kind of mix this talk in with some preview stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, I do like this spot for the Niners. I think, I don't know. We've kind of seen this Jacoby Brissett thing before, and he always seems to be able to get the team to rally around him for a few weeks. But now he's lost his number one receiver, Marvin Harrison. I don't think the Cardinals are very good. I know the Niners aren't very good, but they're starting to get a little bit more healthy, and some of these guys are starting to come back. So it's kind of like some of them might trickle in this week, and some of them they're playing for their jobs. And I mean, the Niners are right in the thick of the playoffs. I don't know. I feel like this Cardinals team, like if they had any hope of saving this season, it was last week against Seattle. They had to win that game. Marvin Harrison's now on the shelf. You're looking at wide receiver 1, Michael Wilson, who is just really bad. Like he's not a good wide. I mean, you're looking at a gadget type offense. You're throwing the ball to Greg Dortch and DeMarcado and Bam Knight. And I mean, Trey McBride is the only guy out there. And I trust Shanahan to scheme up something to take McBride out of play. The offensive staff, I mean, you say all you want about the Niners injuries, but this Cardinals team is not good. They don't really have a big home field advantage. I think San Francisco probably travels pretty well and probably has a lot of fans in Phoenix anyway. So I really like the Niners in this spot. I think this will be a play that I'll make, and probably that'll be on my cards at some point, assuming that Mark doesn't have a strong issue with it.
So survivor wise, you're probably looking at both New England or maybe New England's one.
Yeah, I'll just let it out now, because by the time this thing comes out, everything will be over. I'm playing the Patriots. I'm all in on the Patriots. So when you listen to this, it'll be congratulations or condolences to me, because we're all in on the Patriots. We're just going to play both entries. I've already submitted them, and that's where we're going. And we can talk about it next week where we go from here. Hopefully the second chalk, hopefully the Texans will lose, and then we'll be sitting in a nice spot where we'll probably be down to, depending on some other results. But the Steelers and Texans can somehow lose as 6-point favorites, which is definitely possible. We could lose a nice 30% of the field, which would be great.
There we go. All right. You touched on it there. We're going to look forward to some Week 11 games. We did look forward to that one with San Francisco and Arizona. But and then we did touch on the Patriots and the Jets. I think that game's only important, obviously, for the Patriots because for seeding, and they got to stay ahead of the Bills. I mean, they just have to win this game. It's one of those. It's a must-win game, obviously, that they've got to take down if they're going to.
Well, I mean, this is the type of team. If you want to be serious, like you got to take care of business. I mean, and it's I'm a big we know on the show, and if you're listening to the show, you either follow me on Twitter or you found this show through Adam or Ross or some thing. And if this probably isn't the first time you've listened, I love the Broncos and I talk up the Broncos. But like, if you're going to be a serious team, you got to take care of these bad teams. And the Broncos didn't do it last week with the Raiders. They went ahead and just played with their food like they do every time versus shitty teams. And, if the Patriots want to be a real team, you just take care of business. And, I trust Vrabel to do that a little bit more than Peyton. And, at this point, as much as I love Bo, I mean, May is playing, at an all-pro level and Nix isn't. So I expect May and Vrabel to take care of business. And so I'm laying the 13. But by the time you listen to this, you can't bet it because it'll be over by the time we get, it's produced and all. So hopefully we cash the ticket and, we move on from there.
Pretty big bounce back game for the Bills here. They're 5.5-point favorites at home to the Bucs. They obviously are going to need to keep pace here when the Patriots do beat the Jets.
Yeah, this is a tough one. So, I do like the Bills bouncing back, but I don't know. This seems like a lot of points. A team that, again, so as we've seen this season go on, the Bills' flaws have really come out. Like, we've really seen why this Bills team is struggling. They have no weapons. And asking Josh Allen to be Superman, like, you can do it for a little while, but you have to give him something. It's crazy when you look at this team and the receivers that they have. It's just not good. And they can't stop the run. I really wish they were getting Bucky back here. So this would be a really good spot for the Bucs and Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
I think this line's too high. I'm not in love with the Bucs just because I do like good teams after they look really, really bad. I do like them in general, but I feel like 5.5 points is just too much. This Bucs team's a pretty good team. Even though they've come back to earth, I feel like they can keep it close. This is a fighting team. So yeah, okay. I'm leaning Bucs. I'm not sure it's going to be a play or not, but my initial thought is Bucs.
Before we get to the two games of the week, just quickly, the Chargers -2.5 at Jacksonville is an interesting game, only because of the huge playoff implications. I don't know if you saw this, but the Jaguars are 57% to make it if they win, 19% if they lose. Chargers 91% chance to make the playoffs, 58% if they lose. So just kind of a huge swing here after the Jags, and we'll talk about the Jags in a minute. But if they were going to make a run, they're going to need to win this game.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what you think the two games of the week are, since there's three. But
all right.
we'll get to those. But this game is very fascinating. I kept wanting to find a reason to like the Jags because home dog, and I started out kind of liking the Jags, and then I just started thinking about this football game, and it's like Trevor Lawrence, not very accurate.
Yeah.
They probably don't have Brian Thomas Jr. They don't have Travis Hunter. So I want to take an inaccurate quarterback versus a very good defensive team with no weapons. I don't know. I mean, Justin Herbert just continues to ball out, and I don't see why the Chargers can't go in here. I was trying to make a case both ways, and I know I have stupid takes when it comes on some narrative stuff, but I think the thing that just I think like an hour ago, it just kind of hit me. I don't know if you remember a couple years ago, but the Chargers went down to Jacksonville and they played a playoff game, and they were up like, I don't even know, like 37 points or something, or 30 points. And Herbert let them back in, and they lost the football game. And a lot of the players on this team, a lot of the leaders were there. Derwin James, and I think Khalil Mack was on the team at that point, and Justin Herbert. And I don't know. I'm sensing a little bit of, we're going to go down and we're going to beat this team. And when we get up, we're not going to stop. So I think I have gone from, I'm not really sure what to do with this game, to kind of really liking the Chargers.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'm going to end up on the Chargers here. I know that they struggle on the offensive line, and that is a point of concern. But let me just say that when I look at offensive lines, and the offensive lines when when they're really bad and I don't like them, it's a lot of times with quarterbacks that I don't fully trust to make quick decisions. It's with coaches that I really don't trust to make good game plans. We don't have that here with Herbert and Harbaugh. We have a team and a coach and a quarterback that is very good at quick passes, very good at getting the ball in the player's hands. Quentin Johnson on crossing routes, Ladd McConkey on crossing routes, Aronde Gadsden up the seam, Vidal out of the backfield. I feel like Herbert is able to mitigate that. Now, when you look at the Texans and their offensive line, you have a CJ who doesn't process quickly. He takes a lot of sacks. So I struggle more with a team like the Texans not having their offensive line than the Chargers. But that being said, it's never comfortable having a bad offensive line like the Chargers, but I'm not sure if Jacksonville can take advantage of it. And we already saw Jacksonville just went up against the Texans, and they have the bad offensive line, and the Texans found a way to get that job done. So I think that the Chargers can do it.
Adam did finally admit that the Jags are on fraud watch last week.
I did.
Don't go back on it now.
After the collapse and the coaching, we'll talk about it. I'm sure we'll get to it, but yeah,
it's crazy when I think about that. Like I mean, my main thing is, I'm the Chiefs hater and just trying to find a way for the Chiefs not to make the playoffs. And every time I see it, it's like, oh, the Chiefs are in 8th. Oh, who's in 7th? Jacksonville. Well, they're not going to keep them out. So it's like I want to find a way to like Jacksonville and find a way to get them in the playoffs. And it's like, if Jacksonville makes it and Baltimore makes it over Pittsburgh, it's like, maybe we can keep the Chiefs out. It's like, nah, Jacksonville's never winning enough games to make.
I'm not even a Jags fan. I just like interesting stories, like a team like that to go on a run. Like I couldn't care less about the Jags. You look for these stories, and maybe teams 3-4 weeks into the season that nobody would expect to make the playoffs. Those are the fun stories to watch and follow through the year.
For sure.
All right. Yeah, you're right. I did miss one of the games, and I'll cop to that. But let's go to before we get to my big game of the week, the one that I'm going to be watching with the jersey on. It's the Chiefs at the Broncos. 5-4 Chiefs head into Mile High. 8-2 Chiefs. 3.5 point favorite, which. Yeah, Chiefs have been good lately. They're back. I get all that, but 3.5 points. Denver's a pretty good football team, and obviously you might have a little bit of a bias there, but I don't know. This line seems a little bit high for me.
Yeah, I will have my jersey on as well. I will have my Bo Nix jersey on, and unfortunately, where I watch it sucks that this game's on the same time as the other big game on the afternoon slate.
I've watched football at your place, though, man. You're a pro with TVs all set the right spot. You got the remotes. Like
I'm literally Hall of Fame. I'm literally Hall of Fame worthy when it comes to flipping and remotes and having all the games on and all that stuff. But for sound purposes, it's nice to really get involved in one sound game. But True. I will be watching. I will be at the home of Seattle's greatest fan of not greatest, but one of them with Mark. So, let's talk about this Chiefs-Broncos. Yeah. I think this is a really good spot for the Broncos. I mean, as for betting purposes, they went out and the entire world has the Broncos on fraud alert. They scored 10 points versus the Raiders. Did you see Bo Nix overthrowing everybody, throwing the ball at the feet of the players? J.K. Dobbins, their best running back, hurt. Everybody saw it. And this line went from 2.5 to 4. You said 3.5. I've seen it at 4. I think if it's not 4 now, it will get 4 in most of your casual books, at least, because where there's not sharp money. Can you imagine any casual player just looking and going, Bo Nix is playing Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes needs to win to make the playoffs, and I'm not going to take Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I can't imagine that anybody's looking at that. But look, we know how to beat Patrick Mahomes. We know how to beat the Chiefs, and that is to get pressure on Mahomes. What have the Eagles been able to do to beat them in the Super Bowl and earlier this year? Get pressure on the quarterback. What did the Bucs do to win the Super Bowl versus them? Get pressure on the quarterback. What are the Broncos really good at? Getting pressure on the quarterback. Home field advantage. Broncos have one of the best.
Yeah.
So now it basically just comes down to, do we trust Bo Nix? I know most people don't. I do. I'm still in the camp. All bit aside, I think there have been a lot of throws that have been there. He's missed. Some have been just out of the reach. Some have been dropped by the receivers. But the plays are there. The receivers are good enough. And I know he can make these throws. I've seen them. And let's be honest. When it comes down to the end of the game and there's a fourth quarter drive, who do you trust more? Bo Nix, the guy who's brought his team back against the Giants, the Jets, the Raiders. He just comes up clutch every fourth quarter. Or this Patrick Mahomes guy. He hasn't come up clutch. Like, did he do it versus the Bills? No. Did he do it versus the Eagles? No. Like, the Bo Nix went and became clutch versus the Eagles. So we know which quarterback has the clutch gene, and that's Bo. So I'm getting the clutch gene quarterback. I'm getting the home team. I'm getting the better defense, and I'm getting 4 points. I mean, this seems like an easy play to me.
I could have sworn I heard you say bid aside, but maybe I didn't hear that properly. All right. The other game before we talk about the biggest game of the season and year for us is Lions at Eagles. Philadelphia favored by 2.5. I guess why I'm not super excited about this game is just how fucking bad of a football game that was on Monday night. Like, it was painful to watch. We'll talk about a horrible coaching decision, but I'm having a hard time getting hyped up. I know these are two of the best teams in football. I get it. I'm not going to be turning this game on.
Really? See, to me, this is a game right here. This is a football game. You have one team that has weapons and explosiveness and fearlessness, and they have everything. And then you have the team that just goes to work and just finds ways to win and just does the dirty things. And I don't know, it's just a fascinating matchup to me. This is the NFC Championship game we were supposed to have last year before the Commodores, or not the Commanders, whatever the stupid team in Washington's name is.
I think Trump wants them to be the Commodores now.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Just Trump Stadium in Washington.
What the hell is going on?
I don't know. I mean, how bad was that game on Monday, though? Like, it was unwatchable.
Look, it was I like football in every form and fashion. Yeah, the offense was bad, but the defense was great. And I love the strategies of the muck it up ugly games, and I love the shootout games. You know, that Chiefs-Rams game from like 4 or 5 years ago when it was 56-54 or whatever in Mexico. Insane, great game. I loved this game too. I love the drama of like every decision being key, every drop back like mattering, every time, Barkley's able to reach and get that first down. It's like, okay, now there's another 2 minutes coming off the clock. Like that to me is entertaining in itself. But now you have like Detroit is one of the most fun teams, and Philly is one of the teams that people hate to watch. They take the fun out, and it's like, which one wins? Like, and you've got two lunch pail coaches in Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni. You're going to have gambling and fourth down situations. You've got, I don't know. To me, this is a great game, and I'm super excited for it. These are two teams that I pick a lot. You listen to me, you watch me on this show, you look at my Twitter, and I pick these teams a lot. So I like these teams. I'm not really sure what I think is going to happen, but you're giving me almost a field goal with the Detroit Lions. I'm just going to take it. Philly doesn't really play a lot of shootouts right now with the way that they're playing, and I trust Detroit to make enough plays and keep this game close. I feel like this is definitely a one possession game, so I'm just going to take the Lions here and the points. I'm not committed to this pick right this second. So follow Twitter. I might change my mind because these are two teams that I usually get a good sense of, and I'm not 100% there yet. But my early lean right now on Thursday afternoon is Lions.
All right, then we get to the game of the week. So far, game of the year, Seahawks, the analytics darlings, against your NFC Super Bowl team, right? The Rams. Yep. I think this is two of the best offenses and two of the best defenses so far. Not saying the best, but it's certainly up there. Clashing in a divisional matchup. They do have another meeting closer towards Christmas, but this one is huge and is going to be a fun football game to watch. As a Seahawks fan, obviously, I'm going to be emotionally invested along with your business partner, but going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, full capitulation for me on not thinking that the Seahawks were, legit contenders. They are. It's a really damn good football team.
Sam Darnold. Let's talk about Sam Darnold real quick. I mean, what a comeback this guy's made, and I think you might have had some tweets out there from a few years ago where you thought he was going to be really good. Yeah,
I've always been in the Sam Darnold camp, but crazy enough, I mean, I'll admit it. I eat my L's, and I didn't think this was the best. I was a little afraid for him going to the spot. Not that he was going to be bad, but I didn't think that he would completely flip the switch on this offense. I thought they had offensive line issues, and I didn't think they had enough weapons because, as good as I thought JSN was, I thought he was probably a better number 2 or at least a 1B. And losing Metcalf, even though I don't love Metcalf, I thought they needed that 1A to kind of help draw the coverage, but they don't. I mean, he's just a separator and he's elite and he is 1A and he doesn't need a 1B. And the offensive line is held up nicely. The defensive scheming is great. I mean, they're playing as well as the Broncos defense. They're probably playing better than the Broncos defense, even though I don't think they have as much talent. To be honest, there's nobody who's playing better in Seattle right now. Full capitulation there.
Yeah. So who do you like in this game? 3.5. The Rams are 3.5 favorites.
I mean, you just really want to get your money in good, don't you? 3.5. I haven't seen 3.5 in one spot. It's 3. It's 3, Adam. You're not getting 3.5. You're laying 120, 125, whatever. You're getting 3.
All right.
But yeah, I don't know, man. This is a great football game. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I guess I'm just going to stick with my priors in the Rams. I trust Stafford and I trust the receivers a little bit more. I trust the home field advantage. I trust McVay a little bit more. I don't know, just a little more experience. I don't have any conviction in this game, and it wouldn't surprise me either way. This game is really, really big for the Rams. They have to hold serve at home, especially
Seahawks
because
are tough at home. It'll be tough for them to need to go win in Seattle.
Yeah, and if they'll have to go win in Seattle. They have a couple other games left. The NFC is coming, man. The AFC is not good, and these NFC teams just beat the AFC teams. So it's there's a lot of teams in the NFC that are fighting for these playoff spots. And you look at a team like San Francisco, and even though I don't think San Francisco is nearly as talented as the Rams, we saw last week they got blown out. Look at this Niners schedule. They don't have a lot of losses coming up. So, if we're looking at a Rams team that could get the number 1 seed, but they also could miss the playoffs. I mean, we're not looking at that situation in the AFC. You look at a team like the Patriots who could get the number 1 seed, but they're not missing the playoffs if they lose a game. Rams can miss the playoffs. They've already lost.
Crazy to think. Yeah,
they've already lost a couple games, so they need this game. So I will be anti my partner here, rooting for the Rams, and I'm anti you, Adam. And I'm sorry, but
that's all right.
I got to root for the Rams here. But it won't be a conviction play. It won't be a love, but I am definitely excited to watch this game, hear the analysis, watch the scheming, because these are two great coaches. These are two great quarterbacks. These are great play action teams. I love the fact that both these teams play a lot under center. When you play under center, it just gives you much more, even though both these teams can run the football, they both work really great off of play action. They both have receivers that are just they're not overpowering in the metric department, but in the actual catch part, they're not big menacing guys. They're not the fastest guys in the league, but Puka and JSN, like these guys just get open and they catch the football. So yeah, it'll be fun to watch. I'm excited for the football game, and yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for our look forward. Oh, no other games you wanted to touch on, right? Probably those are the ones.
Yeah, just follow my Twitter and you'll see like the games I'll put out. There's a couple more that I really like, but we'll go ahead and save those for Sunday just in case some changes, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. We touched on it earlier. The Eagles game on Monday night against the Packers. So Nick Sirianni, he makes a decision, and I'm watching this game, and when I had to look at the clock several times, I had to look and make sure I was right about what was actually happening, because on 4th and 6, he's at the Packers 35-yard line. There's 33 seconds left in the game. They're up 3. It's 4th and 6 for the Eagles, and there's 3 options that Sirianni here has, right? On the 35 at 4th and 6, he can attempt a 52-yard field goal at Lambeau in the wind, tough conditions. If they miss, the Packers get the ball back at the 35 with 30 seconds left, 29 seconds left. They don't have any timeouts, but they're not that far from being in field goal range. They can punt, and they can try and pin the Pack back deep in their own end. Again, they're going to have like 28, 27 seconds left, something like that, and no timeouts, and have to go 55 yards or something like that if they pin him on the 10. And even if they don't, if they kick it through the end zone, it's really not that. It sucks, but it's not as bad as what they ended up doing. And the third option was to try and go for it, and on 4th and 6, and try and end the game right then and there. So they come out to line up, and it's 4th and 6. So you're thinking, well, it's the Eagles. They're going to try and draw them off. They're going to hard count, and they're going to try and draw a penalty here, get to 4th and 1, and tush push, and the game's over. And that's what I'm thinking when they line up. And all of a sudden, there's no hard count. There's no time. They just snap the ball, and he throws a deep route, I think, to A.J. Brown. And they run a couple of seconds off the clock, and that was it. And now the Pack have the ball at the 35-yard line, and they can, 25 yards from field goal range to tie the game up. All they need now, the middle of the field is open to them too, because they can throw a 25-yard ball down the middle and get down and spike the ball and try and kick a field goal. Like it's just absolutely by far the dumbest decision Sirianni can make here. He torched win percentage by some ungodly amount. I don't know, but when you're watching that, David, were you on full tilt? Like,
that was literally the worst decision I've seen in a long, long time, and I've seen some really bad decisions. I mean, like we said before, one of the reasons that we kind of got talking about doing this podcast was because some of this stuff. Nick Sirianni, I think, is a very good coach. He's a very smart coach. He does a lot of things. I thought this was basically one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. First of all, they line up, and then they call a timeout with 33 seconds left.
Yeah.
So you can let it tick off one more second and get down to 32. Like 1 second, we're talking like that's 3% of the game at that point. Like how many times do we see where teams run up and they spike the ball with 1 second left? Like that 1 second matters. But the reality is when you punt, I don't know, these punters have one job. Like their job is like to punt the ball a certain amount of distance. Like, just quick kick it and kick it 20 yards, because what's going to happen is Green Bay is, I understand the fact that people think like, well, maybe they could block the punt. Well, you have a quick punt. They all have the quick punt, and you don't have to roll back and step in to try to kick a 60-yard punt. Like you're hitting a wedge. Like, yeah, I'm better with my wedge from 100 than I am from I'm not better at it, but you can do it more often consistently than from 40 yards. But I can still kick a ball. I can still hit a golf shot 40 yards. Like these punters should be able to kick the ball 20 yards. But the reality is when they start rushing, you're going to be able to get the ball off because it's a quick kick. And then the ball is rolling. And how many times do you see the ball rolling and then like 6 guys get around the ball and they watch the ball as 8 seconds tick off because the ball's just rolling. The game's just over. They can't get into field goal position because there's going to be like 20 seconds left, 22 seconds left. Like this was just preposterous. And even like you said, even if it goes through the end zone, those 15 yards are massive for field goal range. That's another whole play. That's another 15 yards of having to run up and spike the ball. That's getting one penalty called on you, a 15-yarder, further back. So yeah, I thought this was an absolute preposterous decision. One of the worst I've ever seen. And to make it even worse, I love how guys just double down on their stupidness. Like he comes into the press conference and he's like, they're like, well, what was you thinking? He's like, well, if we kick the field goal, we're up 6 instead of 3, and that's touchdown still beats us. It's like, yeah, no shit. But like a field goal still ties it if you give them the ball back at the 35. Like he didn't even like put punt in there. Like I would have said, I don't know, just, yeah, we thought like we had something there that they would put us on a hard count, and we thought AJ was going to get open. Then when he took the snap, he didn't see it. So he threw it up, and yeah, we'll be better in that spot. Probably a mistake there, but we have to look at that. Or I don't know. I mean, we just think, I guess everybody just thinks we're all retarded. I mean, we can't say that. They all think we're stupid.
Well, and it's not like his job's in jeopardy. Nick Sirianni is not getting fired. It's not like a coach whose job is on the line where you do something really fucking stupid, you get fired. Sirianni is not getting fired. Like, you can just take the L.
Yeah, I don't know. It was preposterous and it was stupid. And yeah, it's funny because we've seen this now twice. I mean, Peyton did the same thing, but he was up 8. And when you're up 8, like kicking a field goal actually wins the football game. I understand not kicking the field goal here for Sirianni. You're up 3 and going to 6, you're still down a touchdown. But, but I don't know. I just think these and if you are going to run and try to get the first down, like, why don't you just run a quick out pattern to Devontae Smith or something? Like, I don't know. It just seems like,
or roll out. You got Jalen Hurts. Roll out,
and have Saquon. Like, this is what the Chiefs are so good at on these 4th downs. What they'll do is they'll have Pat Mahomes roll out, and then they'll have Kelsey come behind the guy. And then if the guy covers Kelsey, then Mahomes starts to run, and then the guy gets off of Kelsey, and then he just like dumps it to him. Like, you just do that to Barkley if that's what you want to do. Yeah. But yeah, it just made no sense to me. So, I mean, obviously we're like 4 days removed from it. So, now a lot of it's been talked about, but for us personally, this is, kind of our baby of this podcast was, breaking down these coaching.
Indulge us a little. We enjoy this part kind of, and something dumber happened in the weekend. And we talked about it earlier. The Jaguars collapse against the Texans, and Liam Cohen and the Jaguars, they're up 29-24. The Texans have it first and goal on the Jags with 1 minute and 19 seconds left, and both teams have 1 timeout left. The Texans run Woody Marks into the line for no gain. The clock's not an issue for the Texans. They're gonna get an opportunity to score. They're not short of time. The only thing they're gonna try and do is score a touchdown and leave no time on the clock. So they run Marks into the line, and Liam Cohen. We're sitting there. You're going to use your timeout here, right? You need some time left if and when they score here to try and win the game with a field goal. And he just lets 40 seconds or 38, whatever, run off the clock. Texans score, and he's left with no time left to come back. And it's just like you just gave away a possession in this spot where 100% you're supposed to call a timeout in that spot. And again, like, are you smarter than an NFL head coach? And the answer is yes. If you can put 2 and 2 together and call a timeout. Yes, it's your last timeout. I get it, but you need to stop the clock here. It's going to run down to nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy, the time management stuff in the NFL. I mean, I will say that they have gotten better, and we have a lot less of these than we used to have, but there's still idiots out there. Raheem Morris still has a job, and there's
he was bad too. He didn't even make the list on his dumb decision.
Yeah, I can't breathe with that game. So I mean, luckily I had such a great week. It was okay, but yeah, I mean, the reality is they are getting better, but there's still some really bad ones out there. And yeah, that one was bad. I didn't even notice that one because that game had the least interest to me. I know you're like a lifelong Jags fan, but
I am. Ben Jarvis,
I was too busy watching me scoop the board and all my other bets to focus on the stupid ass Davis Mills and Trevor Lawrence game.
Adam was piping into the chat with some choice thoughts about Corey Mace too.
About who? What did I say?
The Saskatchewan head coach.
Oh, fuck. Don't even get me started. Nobody cares about the CFL, so I won't talk about that.
Hey, the Grey Cup's this weekend.
Yes, it is. And the BC Lions are not in it. and they should be. But all right, we had some. We went long. We talked some poker. We did some things this week. We had this is a fun show. I had some other things, but I think we had some questions on Twitter that you put out that we were going to record the show. Does anybody have any questions? We got a few, so why don't we just kind of quick hit these as much as we can?
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do a quick 30 seconds on a few of them, and then we'll get back to save some of them that actually are not time specific, and we'll get back to those on a future show when we have less to talk about.
That's a good call. Which two games do you like the most this week for Survivor if choosing between Dallas, Minnesota, Atlanta, Miami?
Yeah, I saw this one. A friend of mine, Jared, put that one out there. It's different if it's Circa or not Circa. If it's Circa, I would definitely not play Dallas or Minnesota just because there's a lack of Christmas options. And right now, like every week, things are changing, and I just want to leave myself as many options as possible. Atlanta is by far my favorite in that group, regardless of what contest you're in, because I really do like Atlanta this week. I think this is a really good spot. They come back, and I think they take care of Carolina. So I would definitely say Atlanta. I would probably, like I said, I would definitely eliminate Dallas from my discussion, even though I kind of lean towards them this week with the holiday stuff coming up. I guess I would probably say Miami just because their lack of other future value, whereas I think there's a chance Minnesota could look better in the year and may have a spot open up. And also, if you have that horrific run of injuries for the Lions, like on Christmas, you could potentially use Minnesota and Circa. So that would be my say there. Definitely Atlanta and probably lean Miami, but no real conviction on the other three if it's a non-Christmas slate. I kind of lean all three of them to win, so I'd be fine with any of them.
So the Falcons, they do have New Orleans and the Jets coming up. They do have spots. That doesn't affect.
Yeah, I just think, if you're just desperate for spots this week, if you've used Baltimore, you've used New England, you've used those other things, I feel most comfortable with Atlanta. So Atlanta would be my play there, and they don't have holiday implications. Obviously, they do have some other spots, but the reality is if they do lose this football game, there's a chance this team just implodes and Raheem Morris gets fired and Michael Penix just, isn't it? And I mean, if you can't beat Carolina at home after they embarrass you 30-0 the first time you played, I feel like this team's in for meltdown mode. So either they win this week and you advance, or they don't win this week and you probably don't want to play them anyway. So, that's kind of my take there.
The special man asked, he said he'd love to hear your thoughts on which sides you like the best this week. We did touch on some of those for sure.
Yeah, I think we hit a majority of the games there. So, at one point or another, whether it was that segment or just throughout the thing, heard what I've liked.
And then one quick one, Kings Court 999. Yes, would you discuss how much value you place on an NFL team earning the number one and getting a bye?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's like winning your first football game. Not only do you win your first football game, like you win a playoff. It's crazy when you look at Tom Brady's record in the playoffs. It add one more per season for like the buys, because that is like winning the first round game. When you're consistently not getting the number one seed and you're winning your first round game, it's usually versus a not as good team. So, I mean, it's huge. And then just also these teams are all very close. I mean, we have 4 or 5 teams in the NFC that are all probably within a point or two on neutral sites. So like you're going from favorite to underdog by being on the road. You're also getting that week of rehabilitation. You're also not risking the injury. Every quarterback's getting hit there multiple times, and it just takes one hit to end it. So, you got guys like Lamar and Josh and Patrick in the AFC that are just so integral to their team's success.
Yeah, and a bye week, all bye weeks aren't equal, right? Like a bye week in week 6 isn't as valuable as a bye week in just before the playoffs start, right? Because you've gone through that season of getting crushed, and getting that week off is just huge in that spot for sure. For
sure. I mean, you get an ankle sprain in week 17 or 18, and then all of a sudden, we've already seen like a lot of these guys 1 week. And concussions too. I mean, concussions are usually out the following week, but in 2 weeks they're back. for the not major ones. So, I mean, you could just not get medically cleared for a concussion, and, you know, not all concussions are necessarily created equal too. So, I mean, it's kind of like when these guys come back from concussions, they're usually full go. It's not like an ankle sprain or whatever. So, you know, getting one more week to clear concussion protocol and also be able to game plan. You know, you're not having to game plan for, you know, the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Denver Broncos or whatever team like you have them to play. Like you're focusing on the Bills the next week or whatever, you know, your team of, you know, that you didn't get matched up with. So yeah, I think number one's obviously massive. I mean, you can tell in the betting markets too. Like you see all these NFC teams are relatively equal in the betting markets, but whichever one gets the home team is just going to instantly be half the odds of the other ones.
Yeah, I didn't think about that scouting thing too, because you get to watch them play in a pressure situation. So what their tendencies are going to be. Your weekly Ravens Super Bowl odds update is the Ravens are down to 15-1. You didn't get them at 25-1, I guess, if you didn't, when David jumped on it and told us all to jump on it. David, are you buying it 15-1?
No, I think this is kind of where I stop. Yeah, I think it's 13-1 on Circa, which Circa's the sharpest book. Circa's the sharpest book in town, and they're 13-1. So hell yeah, I got 25, and I hope we got a bunch of sweaters out there that have it too. You know, I said at the time that it was really just a bet on them making the playoffs, because if they make the playoffs, I think they're like 6-1 or 8-1 to make it, to win it. So, yeah, I mean, 13-1, they're still not like a lock to make the playoffs. So I guess I could see a little bit of value, especially because the AFC is so weak. Look, if the Broncos win this football game against the Chiefs, you're going to want more Raven shares, because the Chiefs have a legitimate chance to miss the playoffs if they lose this football game. I know that that's sacrilegious to say, and it's like there's no way, but you start piling up the losses, and, you know, let's say the Jags do pull this upset and beat the Chargers. The Jags, even though they're not very good, they still get to play Tennessee twice. So, I mean, there's 2 more wins that are coming their way. You start getting to this point. The thing that's so great about the Ravens is they just have to beat the Steelers and the Bengals to get in the playoffs. Like, so their record really doesn't matter. All that matters is in their relationship to the Steelers. They don't have to worry about the Jags pulling off like all these stupid wins and things like that. So yeah, I do kind of like them, but I think 13-1's kind of a step off spot.
Okay. All right. That's going to do it for the show this week. Thanks to you guys out there for listening. Thanks to you guys for getting together, and go Hawks, go.
Thanks, Fax.